welcome to the B Team Podcast. I am your host, Josh Safran, with my co-host,
Matt Mars,
and our permanent guest,
Rob Nelson.
We're here every week to talk to you about all things Bentonville, bourbon, and business. The B Team Podcast. Be here. Welcome to the B Team Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Safran, with my co-host,
Matt Mars.
And an empty seat again today for our permanent guest. What's his track record in the last couple months? Like less than 50%?
Yeah, 25 maybe.
I mean, do we need to really have a vote off the island type thing?
I'm going to let you handle that. I always have someone that shows up on my side.
Well, I can't give you credit for this fabulous guest today. I'm going to take credit for Mr. Steve Lane.
You're right.
But what's in the seat here is much more valuable than Bobby will ever be, and we'll get into that.
Well, we were going to, normally we try some bourbon. Which
you should save that one. That's
I'm going to. Steve brought this for me. He's got his company on here, and I'm
shout out to Colliers.
Colliers, great real estate company in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm going to keep this one. So
that one will never get opened. I can promise you. At least it won't be shared with me.
It's
I can promise that.
Yeah, it's a trophy. It's a trophy. Yeah. What's Rob got to do that's more important than this? I mean, my God.
He claims he's in Vegas on some builder show.
Okay.
Now,
well, maybe.
Yeah,
we all
we know he's maybe went to the show for 5 minutes.
Because you're a builder too, last I checked, and you're here. So
yeah,
priorities, I guess, Steve.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here every Thursday for all things business, Bentonville, and bourbon. And I got my guy Steve Lane here, and I know Steve a long time. And what I love about Steve is, hey, anybody know what's happening in town, like what's being built or what the new stuff is? Let me call Steve. Gosh, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. But like all the cool new things happening, like you got your hands in just about everything.
I mean, I hope so. That's all that we do. We don't, we're just brokers. We don't make anything. We don't produce any products, just kind of market knowledge and time is all we have. So that's our business. Yeah.
But give me your background. And you've been here for a long time, and you were at Walmart, and then you got morphed into the real estate business.
I've been here a long time. Yeah. I moved here in 1992 to work for Walmart. I got actually hired as an engineer. My background's in engineering. And my personality wasn't really as an engineer. It was a little more in sales. And so I saw these guys across the table doing real estate deals. I'm like, man, that's where I want to be, So I moved over to real estate pretty quickly.
Oh, you were in real estate at Walmart?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the early 90s, when it was just amazing.
New store popping up everywhere.
Oh, I think when I was there 7 years, we went from maybe 50 billion in sales to like 150 billion in sales. That was really the growth spurt. We were doing 350 projects a year. I mean, it was historic.
Yeah.
So that's like a new store opening a day.
It was crazy. Yeah. and the big square footage. These were super centers and whatnot. So anyway, long story short, I thought I'd be here for a few years, maybe get some stock options and move back to a city somewhere. And 33 years later, here I am. But it's been a fantastic ride, and married Kim, met her at Walmart. And,
shout out to Kim.
Raised our Kim. The secret of my success.
We all feel the same way about our lives.
So yeah, I left Walmart. Josh, I worked for a developer for a few years, and then we decided not to leave. Kim's career was on fire, and so we said we're just going to stay in Northwest Arkansas, which was kind of a big deal back then. I mean,
because that's what 2000.
Yeah, roughly.
And there's nothing like it is here today.
I'll tell you this. When I moved here in 92, there were 180,000 people maybe in both counties. Now today we're pushing 600. So it's crazy. It was a small place back then.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. So
Yep.
It was kind of a big decision.
And then tell me how Colliers, is that your business? Tell me the background on Colliers.
Yeah. So I left. The developer started doing brokerage for some clients, and then met a guy named Ramsey Ball, still
Yeah.
a friend. You all may know Ramsey.
Sure. Everybody knows
and
Ramsey.
He said, there's the opportunity for a lot more than you're doing here. And, he's kind of the visionary. I'm kind of the grinded out guy, and he was a visionary. And he said, so we formed a company and started doing a commercial real estate. Ramsey had come out of Little Rock, which was the Colliers Dixon Flake Partners. At that point, they were Dixon Flake Partners. They got the Colliers affiliation. Colliers is an international organization. And so it was a national flag. So we had the opportunity to do one of the first national flags here. Which is a pretty big deal at the time. We were the first at the time, and so then it was off. We grew kind of slowly at first, and then quicker now. So.
And how many people do you have on the team here now?
We've got about 20 in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay.
Colliers has primary offices, Little Rock. We're in Hot Springs now, Conway, and then in Rogers. So we've got probably 150 in the company total, something like that.
So the thing everybody wants to know about, with the big Walmart campus.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys were involved, and I'm sure there's things you can say and can't share and all that thing. But you've been involved in the retail side. So they've announced a bunch of different locations, Jen's Places, fortunate enough to be one of them. But can you guys give a little background on the project, the process, like where it started, how you guys started to source, what the thinking was, and then how you kind of got to the end road with them?
Yeah. So, and by the way, is that amazing when you drive through it?
Oh, it's so it's stuff that you never even. I don't think I realized that it was, number one, that big of a property, and number two, that there was going to be the way that it's all thought out, and it's just it's so neat. Like driving down 8th Street now.
I mean, we think we got a pretty good pulse on what's going on around here. That's like Walmart's assembled 350 acres. Like what, when, So it's significant on so many levels. But I tell people you've got to drive through it. And they created a new city in Northwest Arkansas. I mean, it's just amazing. But so yeah, I think the genesis of this was once I left Walmart long enough, and Kim had left Walmart long enough, I could become their broker to a degree. We don't do everything for them. We get our share, which is great. Very fortunate to do that. And so they approached us probably 3 to 4 years ago and said, we've got this plan, and we've got these parking decks, and we're going to activate these parking decks, which is a really cool concept. So it's not just a big wall; it's liner shops, right? And so then, yeah, a lot of discussion, long process to sort of curate what that means. I mean, obviously, primarily it's for the associates, but it also needs to survive, evenings, weekends. And we think we've created a mix that will do that and create kind of a shopping district there. And I mean, you're in Bentonville. You're in Bentonville. So yeah, it was a fascinating, unique, kind of opportunity. We sought out a lot of advice through Colliers network, brokers who do this kind of work. This is new. And it's really not been done many places, So.
But again, what you can share and what you can't share. So like, I'm sure there was this blueprint. All right, we have 30 spaces, 35 spaces. We want a brewery. Do we want a pizza shop? Do we not want to, how was the decision-making process on what types of business was going to go on in there? Can you share any of that?
Well, they've got a big food hall, really cool. And they got
Eighth and Plate, very cool.
Eighth and Plate. They got a lot of cool concepts, within that. And generally we didn't want to sort of compete with those. So, there's certain things that we didn't probably want to do. Outside of that, they just really wanted to do kind of the coolest things. And again, primarily for the associate experience. So they don't have to leave to go to lunch. So they don't have to leave to get a haircut, various things, So yeah, that was kind of the mission. Yeah.
And it was a long journey. I mean, you guys were, in the middle of this thing for a long period of time. Did you guys engage? Did Doug get involved at all? Was John involved, or was it strictly through the real estate team? Or how much involvement did you guys have at the highest level?
You have a sense the decisions that are being made above, and you hear certain things. But I think from Cindy down to Andrew, Chris. I mean, that's been our context, primarily Andrew and Chris. And man, it's been a heck of a journey for them.
Oh, it has to be. It's had to be like a huge learning experience for everyone, because, like I say, now that I went through there once, whenever I'm coming home, we live over on the west side of town, so I would always take 102 or I'd take 72, and now I'm like, I got to go through 8 so I can see what
yeah
what the new update is today.
Yeah, to have your own number one, your own exit.
Yeah.
And I mean, like they've thought. I mean, we don't know, or you probably know, but this had to be 15 years ago that this started, 10 or 15. I mean,
I wasn't privy to all that.
Yeah,
I think
because
some of it
they had, that exit and all that, but you don't just do that overnight.
Yeah. Well, I worked in the old building that was next to the fitness center. That was a warehouse that they cube farmed out. So they had a lot of that property. It was distribution centers or whatever. But yeah, it was a heck of a thing. But I think they sort of leaned into folks that leaned into them. And you guys did, and like Flyway jumped right on it.
That's what I was waiting to get to. Shout out! I was trying to get the conversation. Flyway, my neighbor, the brewery is going to be up here on the campus, which again is cool that there's going to be alcohol. Like typically you think of Walmart.
I was a little surprised about that.
Yeah. Have you had Flyway before?
I've never had it.
These guys do a fantastic job. Matt's a great brewer. His story, he was an English teacher, and he was making beer in his garage, and he got really good at it. And so he got some capital behind him and started doing, and his concept is, he said 3 things. Everybody wants to open a tap room. He said, you got to have good concept, good branding, you got to have good beer, and you got to have good food. And that's what he's doing. So
Flyway has a full menu too?
they have a full menu.
Oh, that's great.
And this is at the home office.
This will be at the home office.
So in the center that I'm in, Jen's place is in the middle, and on one anchor is Wright's Barbecue. Shout out to Jordan. And this is the other anchor. So you want to talk about traffic for our barber shop? I mean,
These are supposed to
how
fit
cool is
your
that?
Colliers logo koozie.
Oh yeah, they fit.
There we go.
You right there? You good? This is tasty.
Yeah, it's good.
This is their IPA.
You're not a big IPA guy.
He's got a great.
Actually, I'm kind of coming around.
This isn't really hot.
I didn't
This is a
used
little
to be,
malty. It's kind of.
but yeah, this is.
This is good.
It's a good smooth mix.
So the ones that are on campus, so we talked to Jen's Place, Wright's Barbecue, and Flyway, and then Gearhead's in that same plaza as well, right? So that's like, I don't want to say, they would never say it's a male generated or male theme, but they kind of got a little bit of the, right? It's more male centric, I would say.
You do try to do the right tenant mix, and so I think that's accurate. Yeah, and
Okay.
so and you guys are in such a great spot, right across from the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
Looking at the
The
fitness
Welcome Center.
Yeah, it's awesome. Welcome
And
Center
then-
across the street.
On the other end of the campus, what they announced, there's a sushi restaurant, right?
Yeah, I think that's been announced. Well, I know it's been announced. Yokozuna. It's a group out of Oklahoma City, the McNellis group, I believe, McNelly's group. They've got a lot of really good concepts. A lot of Oklahoma groups came over here. We went after a lot of national groups. It's kind of hard for them to figure out. And for this to be their first in the state, like where are we at? Arkansas, Little Rock? No, Bentonville, home office campus, cool story, but not everybody.
So I want to touch on that. So are you outreaching to these places? Like, are they saying, hey, we want a national sushi place? And you're like, what's a national sushi place? And you picking up the phone and calling people?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, in fairness,
He's like, I know
Mary
everything
Claire
about
and
sushi.
Mason, I know, not me, right?
Yep.
But we get my team. We operate as a team.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, we form a list, and we run that list by the client. Here's our target list, and then you work it, And so that's the process. Yeah, that's.
So
the
you did
leasing
have some
process.
no's then, right? You had some people say not interested? Again,
Yeah,
don't
so,
share who
I
it
mean,
is, but
everybody was intrigued, but if they don't have distribution, if they don't have anybody close, if they don't have anywhere to service it, I mean, that's the way retail works, right? So,
and most of what you end up doing, the places that I'm aware of, most of them are in the area. Like Jen's Place is local, Jordan Wright is local, Flyway is local. I mean, like you didn't go grab places from New York City and San Francisco and LA to come in primarily, right? Mostly it's more regional.
it was a process. I mean, we went through, we were pretty aspirational on a lot of our targets, And,
He's like, Josh, you were number 10 on the list. I didn't want to bring that up, but
But
it's here.
if we have local people, we did go to, let's say, best in class local people.
Thank you.
That's you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's Wright's
That's a
Barbecue.
good
Thank you.
recovery there.
That's that's Flyway. That's Bentonville Bike. We're really really energetic about it.
Yes.
There's a lot of bike shops, and these guys leaned in, and I think like I was going to say, that was important to Walmart. People who shared their vision
Yep.
for what they want this to be.
So what we talked about when they came to pitch the Gents Place to us, we said we just don't want to be another barbershop like we have 3 miles away. We're creating this business lounge, the first of its kind, that people could do business meetings, and I think that was what helped sell it. I mean, you could put any shop in there to cut hair, but we're trying to create something curated specific for Walmart, and I think that was important to them in the process.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. Do you see their vision? Do you see what they're trying to do? Yes, it's for the greater community, but it's primarily an amenity for the associates.
And when is everything expected to be fully built out and on board?
Yeah, cheat sheet.
By the end of this calendar year?
So they're occupying it now. Yeah, I don't want to break any news. I think they've announced mostly occupied by the end of this year.
Okay.
So
That's exciting.
That's huge.
That's the goal.
That's exciting.
You're talking about 15,000 people there, and then another possibly several thousand visitors, every week. So it's something else.
So my office is with Plug and Play is half a mile away. So I walked there like during lunch, and one of the guys on my team went and had lunch at 8th and Plate today. And I guess Doug McMillan was giving a presentation in the Sam Walton Auditorium. He said that 8th and Plate was like, it was a zoo. It was packed,
Yeah.
which is exciting. The energy when you're walking by. And when you worked in the home office, you never saw anybody. Now I'm driving past and I'm like, hey, that's my buyer. Hey, and you're seeing people like out in the world where otherwise you'd have to see them behind closed doors at the home office. So it's really cool, very engaging concept.
Yeah. And that's beyond my scope and over my skis. But that's the idea, right? They had, when I was there, you had the hub, the old home office. They called it the hub and the spoke. And so they would find, whatever buildings they had, and they would just cube farm it out, put people in there, and then it's like we all need to be together. It needs to be collaborative for just reasons you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, I know that we don't want to talk too much on Walmart campus because not everything's out in public, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you got a whole bunch of other projects going on currently that you could share in the region, right? New restaurants and new businesses, and is there other cool things happening right here in the area?
You know, one of the coolest things I would say we've been involved in is the new apartments off Northgate and that project, and we represented the developer who came in and did that. That developer happened to own several Ruth's Chris's. And what he's doing, that company, and it's really thoughtful thing, they move the Ruth's Chris's, relocate them to sort of anchor, activate, as you say, that's the buzzword, the apartments. And then we've got some retail we're putting in there as well, we're leasing for them. And so I think that whole area, we've got a new building there we just did. That's exciting.
So you know where this is? You know where like Ashley is, Ashley Lounge and the
Woodhouse, you just said
Woodhouse.
Woodhouse,
Yeah. So right over there, where all that construction's going on. That's because that's the new Ruth's Chris going to be 2-story.
Ruth's Chris is 2 stories. It's 20,000 feet, 20,000 square feet. I think it can hold 800 people. It's going to have a banquet room that holds, I think, 150. I may be wrong, but yeah, we're planning our Christmas party there right now. You guys will be invited.
20,000?
20,000 square feet.
Now, and then you have an office there also?
So then our office is the new 3-story brick building that's right across from the old Ruth's Chris.
Okay.
So
is there anything else that you can share that's public knowledge in that's going to be in that space there?
Not on that. There's a really cool branded hotel just to the west. You'll see between that project and Beauchene. It's going to be really cool as well. It's got kind of a wine theme, I think. I don't want to break news for anybody, but it's going to be neat. You know about Woodhouse. That's cool. Our building is going to have a Walker Brothers, a big, really nice kind of flagship.
Now they're moving from here. I just saw that they're not.
They've already moved from here, and so it's got that. And then they're in Village in the Creeks temporarily. And then the next couple of months, I think or sooner, they're going to open. I think it's 8,000-ish square feet. As Alan will say, Alan, he's in the family. It will be one of the nicest men's clothing stores in the South.
Well, and what's so
not
crazy
just Arkansas, not just Northwest Arkansas.
So, but what's crazy is we've, for years, all of us that have lived here a long time, you had the embassy and the
right,
and that was it. It was fields.
Yeah.
And every time I come up here now, I'm like, oh, there's another big bit. Like
the amount of hotels going up right now.
Like this whole area.
Well, it's
exciting. Nuts.
So you've been here a long time. You've been here a while. When I moved here, my wife kind of just fresh out of University of Arkansas. So we had like a Tail the Trout. Remember that? And
I think you were
Ramada Inn. There was only a couple places you could even get a beer. So we would go to Dixon Street pretty much, or Fayetteville, about every weekend because there was nothing else to do up here. And then I think we got a Applebee's or a Chili's, and boy, that was a big deal. Now we had a happy hour spot.
I remember Bonefish was the place.
Well, that's way late.
Bonefish.
Do you remember Eddie Haskell's?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, Eddie Haskell's.
That was a big.
But I mean, all of those. It's just you just can't believe everything that's coming to Northwest Arkansas, and how it's kind of just moves around all the time. I would have never thought this area would, like, not Northwest Arkansas, but where we are here up by, I guess, Pinnacle.
Yeah.
You never would have thought it would be.
Well,
we have friends that just bought, and it may be in that building, a townhome right there in the white.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's getting excited about the Walmart campus, and rightfully so, in downtown Bentonville. So all the stuff going on over here has been much more quiet and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's going to be unbelievable over here.
Yeah. Well, a couple things on that. So you're right, because when some developers out of Kansas came in the 90s, and they bought like 8 acres where Office Depot is, and they paid like $5 a foot for it. And we thought, those guys are crazy.
$5 a foot.
They're crazy. And it's and even being in commercial real estate, it's kind of crazy that you couldn't see that everything converges to the interstate. It just does, And then to your point, everything now kind of converges around Pinnacle Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Now, downtown Bentonville's got its own thing. Downtown Bentonville's becoming basically Aspen-like, And Pleasant Grove is building out kind of more larger format stuff. But everybody wants a Pinnacle Hills address, and they're willing to pay a lot to be there. So that's kind of, And then to your point, remember Cameron Smith, sure was a friend of yours.
Hey, rest in peace. Yeah, good man.
Hey, rest in peace. He would always do a little bit about how Northwest Arkansas is a series of concentric circles. You know this, right? Walmart in the center, the the vendors is the second ring, and the rest of us
Yeah.
who are in support is the third ring. And he wasn't far off, and he's still not far off. Now, Tyson, JB Hunt's building out their campus to maybe they've announced up to 20,000 people. Tyson's brought everybody back to their home office. I mean, we're so fortunate to have those. And now it's kind of caught fire, right? When we had the Great Recession, and I was around for it. You thought the world was going to end in commercial real estate. We didn't have legs. We were overbuilt, and it kind of scared a lot of people off, and it was painful. Now we've got legs. Now we're not. Yes, it's great to have Walmart as the underpinning for the whole thing, but my gosh, the things that the Waltons have done.
Yeah.
We always take people to Crystal Bridges. We're used to, we still will, to say, look at this, and they look around like, what's this doing?
Well, yeah, it's almost misplaced.
It's an eye opener.
Yeah, but these guys too, like in the Mars family too, has done a lot for the area too. Right, and there's so many different. It used to just be Walmart, and again, Walmart is amazing and the campus, but there's so many other things that are popping up, and the TV show has brought a lot of visibility to the area.
And so now we've got legs.
Well, and it's like we all used to. Everyone leaned on. We still all lean on Walmart, but. We have, the new hospital that's going up by Crystal Bridge. There's so much. Yeah. I don't think we've even seen Northwest Arkansas blow up, and we all think we have.
No,
because we remember when this building that we're sitting in was field.
Yep.
But it's like,
well, it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
But I tell my people, like, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I was there. I was in the middle of something historic. I knew when I was in Walmart in the 90s what we were doing was amazing. There will never be another development effort like that probably ever again. There will never be retailers that grow that fast in square footage ever again. I tell them, look around you, what's happening. You're going to look back in 10, 20 years and say, I was there when Bentonville blew up, and you're right. The medical, we're just kind of, I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg on that. and that's, the Walmart thing is obviously great, and it solidifies that the home office will be here forever. The medical is net additive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's accretive.
Yeah.
And that's going to be amazing.
Yep.
The best numbers that we have are that specialty doctors add 20 jobs each, from a nurse down to the guy, in Casey's. And think about that, So that's really, if you're making an investment decision, that's sort of the icing on the cake.
Well, we're not even talking about like the outdoor recreation stuff. I sat through the governor's conference the other day. I was fortunate enough to get invited, and the opening panel was some guy who's he has an outdoor biking magazine. He was the panelist host, and Sanders' husband and Tom Walton were on the panel.
Yeah,
and they were talking about. What's going on in Bella Vista right now, what they're doing. It is. It used to be a one-trick pony with Walmart and then like JB Hunt and Tyson, and now there are so many different tentacles moving out there. And I to your point, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. This place is blowing up.
Yeah, I think so. And when we do our market presentations, being an old guy, I do some biking, not a lot, not heavy hills, not the blacks.
E-bike like me, probably.
E-bike on the greens, maybe a little blues here and there.
I'm more of a stationary bike guy.
But we sort of usually append it at the end, like, oh yeah, and we've got 500 miles of single bike track, whatever, and then more coming. It's a primary feature. They built a bike culture here. They say, all right, if we're, Austin has tech, that's where we're headed. Nashville has music. We have the mountain bike culture, it's a primary thing.
Yeah.
I used to ride bikes a lot. I've obviously that down now. But,
many years ago.
But what I would always do is, because I would be out of breath and I'd get to the top of the hill and I'd stand there for a while. So I'd talk to everyone. I'd be like, hey, where are you from? And it was rare that anyone was from Bentonville that was riding bikes.
Yeah.
And in the hot summer, when we thought it was too hot, we get people from Texas and Louisiana that come here. And in the winter, when we think it's too cold, Minnesota. And so many of those people buy houses here.
Yeah.
Just to have a house to come ride bikes. And it's just like there's so many things that are feeding into Northwest Arkansas now that I love to see it. And it's
a relatively new phenomenon that you meet people, because, I was here when, it was like, we always laugh like it's band camp. We made all these friends, a lot of them moved Pinnacle, a lot of them moved Shadow Valley. 2 years and they're gone, love you, man. We'll keep in touch, and now people are moving in and like, well, why are you here? Oh, I lived in Denver, and I could live anywhere I wanted, and so I just chose here. And like, really, you picked this off the map? Yeah, I love the culture, I love the bikes and all that kind of stuff. So that's something right there.
One of the things they said in this governor's conference, Governor Sanders' husband said something to the, and I'll mess it up. It's the #1 inbound per capita state right now in the country. Part of it is the climate. Part of it is the biking.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of reasons.
We have a 12-month season for biking. I mean, we're not even getting into fish. We have world-class trout fishing.
Right.
It's 2 hours from here.
Right.
Like we have so much stuff that has a 12-month season. We're not like out west where you don't want to go in the middle of the winter.
And so much within a day's drive or half a day's drive. You know, that's like everybody talks about Dallas and God bless Texas and all that, but you drive 3 hours outside of Dallas and where are you? You know, you drive 3 hours outside of here, you can be at Buffalo River. I mean, you get so much available to you, you know, so it's.
So I want to talk about Colliers for a second, and you and I have known each other for a few years, and I consider you a friend, obviously, but the relationship, like, it's not transactional. What you guys do is very relational. I feel that every time I go down and I see open space for Colliers and Mary Claire and you, and like, you guys have done such a good job of building your brand here where people want to work with you. It's a hard job for you because it's not like you're negotiating stuff back and forth with people all the time, and you're sometimes in the middle, but you guys have done such a good job with your brand that, you know, you're well known and people want to work with you guys. I mean, what's the secret for that?
I hope so. I appreciate that. And it took a long time, you know, kind of to get there and to get the right mix of people. And we've got a fantastic team right now. And, you know, what we're trying to do right now is what most Colliers offices do, and you're trying to attack it at scale. But being the biggest doesn't do you any good, right? It's just we're in sales. You know, it's about the people, it's about the customer, about the relationship. So it's really assuming everybody has a baseline level of knowledge and ability. It's about the relationships. It's all about that, right? So yeah, I mean, there's several ways to do our business. You can do it transactional and try to make as much as you can on each deal, or you can say, you're a client of mine. If I can help you at any moment and any time, you let me know. And at some point along the line, yeah, there may be a closing, there may be a lease fee transaction, you know.
But that's important because to you, sure, I can make an extra 5 or 10 or 20 grand on this thing in a transaction and be an asshole and kind of work through it and never work with that person again.
Yeah.
Or I could do what's right for all three parties, yourself in the middle, right? The buyer and the seller, and realize you're building relationships. And then someone in this small town goes, hey, did you ever work with Steve Lane and team? You should work with Steve Lane and team. And all of a sudden, right, you got 25 new relationships because of how well you guys handle yourself in that existing. And you guys have done a great job with that.
I appreciate it. That means a lot. And you don't cut corners. You keep your integrity high.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you kind of laugh because you know how that guy made this money or whatever, you know, but we don't do that. So, you know.
Can we talk about all the cool Colliers perks like baseball games and the basketball tickets and all the other cool stuff?
He's
like if you're a
Josh.
client, but you guys, right? I mean, you're at all the sporting events. Like, you guys do a nice job. And that's entertaining guests and clients,
We
right?
try to be strategic, yeah. You know, I mean, what's happening around here? The Razorbacks, right?
Yep.
And LPGA. You know, we try to, you know, that's always a great time. We do a hospitality suite for LPGA with.
But that goes back to the relational element of things, like, right? You'll say, hey, do you guys want to come and be a part of it? And whether you sold a thing, closed a business deal with somebody or somebody else, like, you guys are in a lot of things, and you're bringing people through those things, which again is
100%. Hey, my partners in Central Arkansas, they take people to duck clubs quite a bit. You know, that's what they got going on. You know, we got the Razorbacks, so we have some of a box at the Razorback games, a hospitality suite, and we do a tailgate. You know, come by that sometime. I think you have.
that'll be fun, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
We're having a Top Golf event. We're going to do March Madness, March 20th. So you guys come by there, you know. But just to kind of hang out and, like you say, exactly what you say, get to know our brokers, get to know our people. You know, I think people know at this time. You know, I'm pushing 60. I know I don't look it.
That's good. It's better than you and I.
Yeah, you do. You've aged well.
But I think they understand that, you know, I'm going to be there, but the team is going to do the deal for you. You know. So.
Well, and you've morphed to a point where, like, I'd call you, like, hey, I'm not that close to it, but, like, you would talk to the team and talk to Mary Claire and Alan and others. And again, that shows a lot about you also as well. Like, your name is tied to the Walmart project because it's right, and you're giving this to Mary Claire, who's earlier in her career, who did a fantastic job. Shout out to Mary Claire. But, like, it's really cool that, like, you're like, I'm gonna have the team get involved and help, and I feel very confident that I have the right people in place to help drive this thing. Because at the end of the day, it's you, right? It's your brand, your name, your reputation, but it's only going to be as good as the team is.
Well, you've all worked with young people, right? You got to train them and you got to allow them to fail. No, not that you failed anyway. But,
I feel so sorry for Mary Claire having to deal with him. It's an every day, and she's like, God dang it, it's Josh
Talking
again.
about trial by fire, man. Yeah.
And Steve's like,
Well, he was the best. He's like, hey, I'm not that close to call Mary Claire. So then I'd be on speed dial with Mary Claire, and I'm like, hey, Steve. You're like, hey, did you call Mary Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah, she pushed me to you. She didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Mary Claire was sitting across the desk, and she was like, did you just tell him to call me? And he's like, I sure did.
I sure did.
and it's so hard because, you kind of give him I'm going to give you my toy. Don't break it.
Yeah.
And but I had bosses early on. I had a guy when I was an engineer, and he said, "You're going to run this pre-construction meeting." I was like 23, like really, I think I made a mess of it. But
But that's the only way you
got to
figure
learn
it out.
The first time I presented at Walmart to the executive committee, I think it was Rob Walton, David Glass, Don Soderquist.
Oof.
And I was still young, not really knowing what I was doing, and
How'd that meeting go?
it was terrible.
3 weeks later, you're at Colliers.
Yeah, he's like, well, when I decided to go out on my own after that.
But you get through it. Everybody understands. So you gotta allow them to grow. And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like on the job training and trial by fire. I don't think you can only learn so much without just getting in front of people and doing it.
So what's next? Anything you could share that's coming down the pike? Anything you guys are excited about? Are you involved at all? What's going on in Bella Vista? Anything going on up there?
So, Walton's announced a project up there. I think, if you look at, you can go market by market as far as what's coming next. Just maybe quickly, if you start in Fayetteville, the markets of all the 4 principal cities have all floated out into kind of their own. When you become more populous, you become more neighborhoody, right? Mm-hmm. So now, if it's a hall game, we'll drive down to University and do that. Do we go to Dixon Street and eat? Not very much.
Let's just get back
to Benton County.
Yeah.
So I think Fayetteville's floated out into its own kind of unique thing, unique feel, really sort of around the university to a large degree. I think the university is going to probably add some more people. A lot of student housing going on. We're involved in some of that. Those are crazy projects. They've got to be where they've got to be, and it's been interesting watching that happen. But the kids, I guess, especially these Texas kids, seem to have money to spend, so they don't want to be in those old projects. That's happening there. Springdale tells an amazing story right now. Downtown's got so much cool stuff going on. It took 15 to 20 years to kind of transform downtown Bentonville. They're going to do downtown Springdale in less than 10 years. It's amazing.
And it's what's happening down there.
Yeah.
Our daughter does cheer in Springdale one night a week. So Carrie and I will go downtown to the little promenade.
Gaskins.
We went to Gaskins.
Oh, it's great.
There's a French restaurant there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And all of them they're amazing. And they have this nice promenade walkway that there's no car. It's like you said, unless it's like coming to Pinnacle, unless you go there, you show up and you're like, oh, there's 5 other things going here.
That's right. And then West Springdale, we've been working with the George family for a long time. We did a project with them with the Chick-fil-A and a strip center behind that's coming along real well. And I think there'll be some other things, at some point happening there. But there's just so much population growth to the west. So Springdale's really kind of getting legs coming up into, Lowell. The J.B. Hunt campus is going to drive a lot of growth there. A lot of flex space. That's an interesting part of this market, flex and industrial.
So what does flex mean for the viewers at home?
So industrial is big, cross dock, high tilt wall, high ceiling, all that kind of stuff. True warehouse. And then flex is kind of a catch-all term for, small metal buildings or, even tilt wall that's nicer but maybe smaller, subdivided. You see it as you drive past Pleasant Grove down there, right? There's some new stuff that, been coming up. I always laugh where the contractor needs to hang a hammer. People just need space. And so there's not a lot of that because we're so new. We don't have a lot of old space. And most of that's been on the east sides of the market, follow the railroad. So it's in East Springdale, East Rogers. So there's a lot of need for that product. You'll see that kind of around, I think, the Lowell area. Rogers, Pinnacle Hills, I'm on the planning commission and we're zoned for tall buildings in Pinnacle Hills. And I think we'll probably see some.
Tall buildings means what?
How high is a tall building?
Tall.
higher than these 5 and 10, how high are we going?
Yeah.
What is the tallest building we have now?
10 plus. I think
10 plus.
I think 10 stories. I think the Hunt Tower. Yeah.
Wow. Never thought that would happen.
Again, if we are headed towards Austin, this is downtown Austin. You know?
Yeah.
It's just this is of
And
the four cities.
and I think this is kind of Pinnacle Hills is kind of the nuclear, like the middle.
Yeah. Even
all.
Mervin from the university,
Yeah.
you know, he talks about this is the only area that's set up to be downtown Northwest Arkansas, you know. And kind of the beauty of it is we're so unique with four cities that grew together. But this is the only place that can kind of be the downtown if there is one. So a lot of cool stuff is going to continue to happen here. And then
What about downtown Rogers? I get asked question a lot. Like, a lot will be the next Bentonville. Invest there, invest there, invest there. You doing much down that way?
Love downtown Rogers. We typically sort of deal with a lot of national tenants the way that we're set up. And so that's a little more local in feel. But I know Specialized has a really cool mixed-use housing deal going on down there. The city's done a lot of work. Again, I'm kind of Rogers proud. And it's interesting because I'm not sure how much of Southwest Rogers knows where downtown Rogers is, which is something we kind of gotta work on.
Yes,
but no,
very much.
it's got its own vibe, and it's a cool place. I mean, there's a ton of great restaurants down there. Have you been to that new Thai place? I mean, it's fantastic.
The Vietnamese
18
1830 shout out something called it was very, very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was good.
Very, very good. And he's the owner. He comes over to the table and he's generous.
He'll tell you the whole story.
Yeah, he's great. He used to be a vendor.
fascinating
Yeah, he'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
The whole area is fantastic. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
And then let me go.
Yeah, please.
finish the story. And then Bentonville's so unique because, you know, and the housing market in Bentonville's tough, right? So it's very expensive. And so as a result of that, you see Centerton, Pea Ridge, you know, where are the places that are easiest to drive to the home office? And in Bella Vista. And Bella Vista was, you know, when I moved here, we rented a house when we first moved here. There wasn't anywhere else to rent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was a retirement community. And now it's 10, 15-minute drive to the home office. So I think Bella Vista's got a great future into southern Missouri, into eastern Oklahoma.
Which is crazy. You're thinking about Missouri and Oklahoma.
You talk about what's coming. The Highway 59 corridor hasn't really participated in the growth of Northwest Arkansas much yet. It's coming, you know.
So now, what is your? We had the Chick-fil-A guy on.
Mark Hofford, shout out.
Mark said like 97% of his employees can't afford to live in Bentonville. Like, do you see any big apartment projects coming in Bentonville, or do you think it'll just keep pushing further out? Or
I'm actually on a foundation called the Accelerate Foundation. Used to be Endeavor Foundation, Accelerate Foundation, and they are working on a project just south of I Street. That's going to be an affordable housing project, but that's a real issue.
Yeah,
It's not the most exciting thing to talk about.
no,
But everybody
it's-
talks about it,
yeah.
and everybody wants to meet.
The whole
whenever.
service industry, right? Like,
There's a whole strata of folks who can't live there, can't afford rent, certainly can't afford to buy a house. So again, talk about traffic problems towards Centerton, Pea Ridge. Well, those are only going to get worse because people have to drive in from somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a real issue.
so, and I'm going to ask you the same question too, because I know you're into the real estate. You all right today? You need a little water?
I don't know.
So if you're somebody that's got money sitting on the sideline and you said, I want to look forward 5 to 10 years and I want to invest in real estate, like where, like you still think Bentonville's a place to be? You're seeing out in Centerton, you're seeing Pea Ridge, like where are you? Obviously all are probably going to be fine, but like where are you making your bets right now?
That's an interesting question. I go more towards kind of product type, you know. I mean, you believe in the office market here. There's really only one Class A office building coming up, and it's the Visionary, you know, the Hunt Group, and it'll fill up. One of the things we're seeing is you've got this interesting situation of new kind of emerging market. The existing rents are kind of one scenario. The rents that are for anything new are a whole different ballgame. Maybe 2x, probably 2x on what they're used to paying. You're paying $20 a square foot on 10,000 feet. That's $200,000 a year. You're going to move to one of these new buildings. It's going to be 40. You're going to.
So the folks want to make sure that
$200,000 a year. That's a big move.
the folks want to be renewing their leases. Like if anybody's in leases right now with options to renew in the $20 to $25 to $28 a square foot, you want to be renewing these terms 5 year, 5 year, 5 year at 3% growth because all the new buildings are going to be $40, $50 a square foot. No.
They call it mark to market. If you buy an old center and you say, okay, you're at $12, I'm sorry, but your market's 20, probably more, and that's tough. That's a tough conversation to have.
Yeah.
We've had those conversations, but that's where we're headed. The impediments to new construction, the cost of land, the interest rates, the cost of the materials. It's just what it is. But, I always tell my people, things that can't go on forever don't. We will have new construction. The markets will catch up to rent, but we're kind of in the middle of that right now. So it's tough. But, good news is 1,500 people a month moving in, probably on average,
Well, and we're fortunate that most of the 1,500 moving here were more inexpensive. Sometimes we used to be, for sure. Now it may not be the same. You probably have a better, more about that than I would. But like usually, people are moving from the West Coast or the East Coast, and they're like, oh, it's cheap, inexpensive here, and I know it's changing.
Yeah.
But I think that's been our saving grace for so many years. Is for all of us that lived here, we're like, oh, they're just paying that, but we're catching up.
If you're building new space, you're making a bet, right? I mean, we're an emerging market. We have 20 years of rent history, but not like if you go to some of these existing markets where we know exactly kind of where rents are going to go. You pretty much kind of have to believe, And so what that is trended towards is people who build apartments kind of come in from anywhere. They'll build maybe one, and leave. They're not going to build a whole bunch. People who are on assignment for a retailer or whatever company will come in, build something kind of on a build-to-suit basis. But speculative building, you can look around and pick about 5 or 6 local folks who have done most of it because they understand it. They're willing to take that risk. They believe, So we'll come into the top 100 MSAs fairly soon, next couple of years. That's significant. But right now, institutional money is they place safer bets. They're port cities, NFL cities. We've got some family offices looking. But, other than that, it's kind of local and regional, high net worth folks or developers who are playing around here, so.
I mean, so from the outside looking in, like the growth is here and it's coming and it's continuing. You don't see this slowing down.
Yeah. I said that in 2007 too.
Sure, we all did.
Yeah, famous last words. It's hard to see, the Waltons do pretty much what they say they're going to do. They have Walmart, we know what they're going to do. Can you really see JB? I mean, there are things that could happen, but we've become this kind of, cool. And that's the great thing they did is create this vibe, this sense of place, this positivity, the philosophy of abundance versus scarcity. And people grab onto that, that's.
Well, and we don't realize. So my he was a developer his whole life. And he said, what you guys don't realize is you can go out to dinner in Northwest Arkansas and just feel this energy of like there's movers and shakers. Deals are happening. He's like, It reminds me of Phoenix back in the 80s and 90s when it was blowing up. He's like, it's just, when you go out there, you have that feeling that, and it's pretty neat to hear that. Like
a lot of positive energy. Yeah. And I think when people go back, which is happening now, to the coastal cities, is they all come in to call on Walmart and they have some reason to be here, or even the film festivals and things. I mean, we're getting such a large audience, the show.
Yeah.
And then they get here, and we like, look, if you want a package of sites, I can do a package of sites. We do package it up, send it to you. Got to get here and you got to drive. You got to get on the ground. We always say, if we can get you here for half a day, drive Bentonville, go to Onyx Coffee, go to Crystal Bridges. Oh, now drive the new home office. That tells the story. You cannot tell the story remotely or in a PDF.
Because I can't tell you how many friends we've had, because we moved from Colorado in '95, and even from then, they would come down. They'd be like, "Why are you not coming back?" And after they were here for a weekend or a week, they were like, "I know why you're not coming back." And we've had a lot of friends move here because of that.
We got Bobby to move here, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, it has a. Number one, I think the South is welcoming, and it's our area is. I mean, there's a lot of good energy and stuff going on here. So
I hope we can protect that. I hope we can get the traffic right. There's some new roads coming, not fast enough.
Yes.
Another issue that's not extremely exciting is the sewer. We're very limited. We need some sewer projects happening. That limits growth in a hurry. You talk about 400,000 or 500,000 more people coming. Are they really? Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
Do we have the utilities for them to go there? We've got to have some growing pains. There's no doubt.
Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't hit on today? Anything else you want to talk about with Colliers? Anything we missed on?
unless you got something on your mind.
No, I'm listening. We've been wanting to get you on for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
it's again, when somebody says what's going on, I typically try to say, hey, let's figure out what Steve can and can't share. I mean, you typically have a peek behind the curtain on all things happening, and I'm excited about what's going on at Northgate. I'm appreciative for everything that you've done with the Walmart campus. I mean, I know that you were involved, and I appreciate your friendship, and it's been a great run, and I think there's a lot more to go.
Absolutely. Glad we got to do it.
Thank you. Cheers. Appreciate you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.